Hello and welcome to another What Sold video. This is everything that sold on my not live selling platforms January 5th to January 11th, so a full week. Let's get over here and we're gonna go to the eBay because the eBay is the only bay that is performing for me right now. Everybody else has some performance issues, that's okay. We're gonna work through it. I'm gonna talk it out with them. We'll make it happen. Anyway, sorry, that was terrible. Sold this Sakura teacup and saucer. Again, took forever for them to start selling, and now that they've started to sell, they sell. Don't know why, don't care. Paid basically $1 for the cup and saucer, sold for $9.87, and they've been slowly selling. I've definitely more than paid myself back at this point. This is a pair of Corral Vintage Cowboy Western Mules. I bought these a couple years ago. I don't remember where I got them from. I think it might have been through a Thriftmas, but it's been so long I don't remember. So I've either paid $7 or less for them. Sold them for $49. Again, I know shoes are valuable, and there are plenty of resellers here on this platform that's their whole business is shoes, or that's their primary thing that they like selling is shoes. I am not one of them. I do still pick them up because they are valuable. And then when they get in a big enough pile to where like I can't stand to look at them anymore, that's when they get listed. That's when they got listed last time. That's when they get listed next time. I only have a little stack now because I'm not thrifting, but sold for $49. I don't find vintage cowboy stuff very often in my area, but when I do find it, I pick it up because it does sell, and it does sell for good money. This is a set of Robert Jordan books. This is 1 through 4 of the Wheel of Time series and the 15th book, which is the prequel to the 14th book, 14-book Wheel of Time series. This is retail arbitrage. I picked these up at Ollie's Bargain Outlet like 2 years ago. They didn't sell until, this year. And both of these that have sold, I think I sold a second one. Both of them sold for full price, and both of them are going global shipping program somewhere. So they're not even selling here in the States, they're selling somewhere else. So my guess is that because I'm one of the few booksellers that has the global shipping program turned on eBay, that's the only reason why these are selling and why they're selling that way. Highly recommend doing that. If you don't, I only do international shipping through global shipping program because I like the fact that as soon as eBay gets it, it's their problem and I never have to think about it again at all. It's awesome. Sold for full asking price of $29.87. I only made $10 off of this, but that's still $10, and it was a scan and take a picture of all the sides of the boxes, and they've just sat on my shelf, so that's great for me. This is a bins pickup. I paid 50 cents for this at the bins. This is Custer's Last Stand. It's part of a historical library from the 50s. Sold for $11.87, and this is free shipping, so I made like $5 to $6 off of this book. This is Clive Cussler. I cannot say this man's name. Clive Cussler. Got it. This is a first edition hardcover of this book. I originally had this listed for $9.87, and no one bought it. As soon as I switched it to $2.87 with $5.38 shipping, it literally sold like the same week. So switching things over to paid shipping seems to be working, especially moving the older books. So this is awesome. I paid 50 cents for this at the bins. This is a thank you to Melissa. This actually was her sweater, so felt even more special that she gave it to me to resell. This sold for $19.87, full asking price, and you can see Karen putting in the work here. It was a beautiful sweater. Unfortunately, it was too short in the arms where I probably would have kept it. Melissa's a little more petite than I am, so beautiful vintage sweater, loved it. So glad I found a new home. And again, Melissa, thank you. And thank you again, because she also gifted me this Eileen Fisher piece. I was able to Google Lens this after I hung it up, and I got the exact item name from the Eileen Fisher website, because they have a renew program just like Lululemon does, where if you send them your old Eileen, they will resell it on their website if it's in good condition, and then give a store credit or a website credit to whoever turned in their old stuff that they don't want anymore, which is interesting. But because of that, I was able to pull up the exact listing on the Eileen Fisher Renew website, which is what they call their service, and saw that they were selling it for $75. So I just listed it what I thought would work because I'm not Eileen Fisher. So sold it for 40. I got a bunch of offers like as soon as I listed it. Normally I just hold out when I get, I'm sorry, I just smacked you guys. Normally when I get a whole bunch of offers, as soon as I list something, I hold out, but this was free to me and I'd rather just have a good home. And because it doesn't have the exact size and I was guesstimating the size based on the fact that Eileen Fisher only goes up to 3X, and the way the measurements were working, even though this is a log and look piece, it would fit up to a 3X person. So Melissa, thank you. That was a lot of exposition for a $40 silk piece that is beautiful. And again, I know I probably could have gotten more for it. I'm just happy it's on a new home. And Melissa, thank you. 3 Mary Stewart books. This is The Crystal Cave, The Hollow Hills, and Last Enchantment. Now, this is all from the same series. It is not a complete series. 4 or 5 books in this series. I only had 3 of them. I listed these on Whatnot. They didn't sell for $2 a piece on Whatnot, so I put them up on eBay. They sold for $24.87. This was free shipping. Nike piece, also a thank you to Melissa. She doesn't sell activewear, or she's very picky about the activewear she does sell. But I sell Nike and Adidas and Under Armour and Reebok all day long. Doesn't sell for a whole lot, but they do sell consistently for me. This sold for $10.30. Again, Melissa, thank you. I was so happy when I got a notification that I had a watcher on this item. I immediately sent them a 30% off offer and they purchased it. And I was so happy because I've had this piece for like going on 3 years now. This is an Anthropology Maeve piece. It's weird. It is a weird thing. This is one of the few pieces where not only did I put it on the mannequin to model, but I also put in the stock photo as like the second photo, just because of how weird this drapes on a body. It's interesting, but just so glad it sold for $13.91. I paid $5 for this at a thrift store. Just glad to see it finally off to a new home. This is a unisex vintage campus sweater. It was like this dusty pink color. It was made in the USA. This is the second time this sweater has sold. The first time it sold, it was returned for fit. Sold again a second time for more than what it sold the first time for, so that was great. Sold for $16 and the buyer paid for shipping. This is a thank you to Nancy. Nancy bought one of the pieces I just recently listed in my last listing video. She bought the beautiful Clubroom XL wool sweater vest. She paid my full asking price for it, which was very kind of her. Nancy, thank you so much. I do hope whoever you purchase this for loves it. And I really appreciate your support, your continued support here on this channel and in my business, and just all the lovely comments you leave me. I do read and I really do appreciate them. This is an Ariat piece. I pick up men's Ariat whenever I find it. Women's Ariat doesn't move. I have like one orange top that I've had forever. It will not sell. But the men's stuff does move faster for me. I definitely would pick up the shoes if I find them in the jeans, but this is a 3XL, so I figured it would sell pretty quickly. Sold for $23.90 because I sent an offer to watchers, so really happy about this. I paid $6 for this at the Goodwill. This is an amazing sale. I sold 4 dinner plates, a chop plate, and 4 salad plates. They are all vintage 70s Electra casual ceram stoneware. The actual pattern is called Cresta. It was a beautiful flower power, like big flower. It's all green, which is why I picked it up and why I was immediately drawn to it. I do believe I picked this up in a Thriftmas video at a Goodwill. I believe I paid $14 for all of the dishes you see in this picture. And I have already paid myself back just by selling the cream and sugar set from this set. So if I sold anything else from this, it would be all profit. So, and I had already sold another couple plates as well. So I'm already in the profit. So this was just straight profit for me. Sold for $104.83 and the buyer paid $36 for shipping. The reason why the $36 stayed there and I didn't refund any is because I did have to buy a big shipping box for this. That is how I normally ship these large dish orders. As I go to, I've mentioned this before in a previous video, I go to Lowe's and I buy the appropriate size heavy duty moving box. And the reason that I do that is because not only is it a double layered cardboard box, but it also has handles, and I believe that because it has handles, It is easier for carriers to carry the item, and so they generally treat it better because it's not as cumbersome or as difficult to move around. So it's a lot better them taking the handles and setting it down easily versus like carrying the box like this and just like dropping it when they're done with it. That is my mentality when it comes to why I go ahead and do that. And I incorporate that cost into the shipping expense that I'm giving. I also make sure that there's 3 inches of stuff around, and then all of the dishes are boxed and individually paper wrapped, individually bubble wrapped, and then bubble wrapped all together, and then put in its own box, and then all of the boxes are put into the big box. I just described how I ship things. You guys probably don't care because you have no desire whatsoever to deal with this, which is why this is one of like the most overlooked reselling things. When the dishware is interesting to me, that's when I pick it up. I have made so much money off of vintage dishware, especially these big collections. I don't get the fancy china because the thrift stores mark it up. I get the interesting pieces that get overlooked. Anyway, again, I paid $14 for all this. I made $80 off of this one sale. And yeah, I love dishes. They're long tail. I will also say that vintage dishware is long tail, but there's a reason why replacements.com exists, is because there is market for this. I love that I mentioned in a recent video when I'm going through my inventory that this J brand pair of pants was in there. And I was like, I believe it's gonna sell. Legitimately, like the week later, it sells. That's just manifestation right there. I don't know how else to describe it. So I actually, I either got these in a thread-up denim box, or this is the pair of J brands I got for like $3 off of the RealReal. Either way, I paid less than $5 for these jeans. Sold them for $12. So glad that I was right and that they eventually sold. I just think that that's great. Would I pick these up again? No, but I love that these did sell. Q Continuum Trilogy by Greg Cox. These Star Trek books I got in the big warehouse buy that I just did, the book buy that I did in October. I put these all up for sale on Whatnot. They didn't sell on Whatnot, so I sold them for $14.87 on eBay. Most of my science fiction and fantasy and horror genre fiction go up on Whatnot first. I always give my Whatnot buyers the first chance to get it. If it doesn't sell on Whatnot, I put it up on eBay, and it sells on eBay just like this. This is the Dragonstar Trilogy by Melanie Ron. Now what I ended up doing was the first book in the series didn't sell on Whatnot, and I had turned in some of the other books that didn't sell in that Whatnot auction into Second and Charles, and I used that store credit because Second and Charles actually had the other 2 books in the trilogy. So I turned that store credit from books that didn't sell in this book bundler buy that I'm already well into the profit of in order to complete this trilogy to make it a sellable set. Sold for $9.78, and the buyer paid for shipping. This is one of the ones where the buyer is paying for shipping for the books. So I'm very happy with this. And then the last item I am not very happy with. I am not good at retail arbitrage. I know I could list a handful of resellers that are adept at retail arbitrage. I am not one of them. This is a pair of Adidas classic forums. They're white. Bought these for $30. They sold for $30. So I made zero monies off of them, but I was so grateful that they finally sold because I bought like 10 of them. And yeah, I've sold 3 of them so far. So sweet. But I'm glad that they sold. And you know, the reason why I purchased them, and the only reason I do any retail arbitrage normally is like September, October. So I have brand new with tag item stuff in my store for the Christmas holiday season. I've decided not to do that anymore because it doesn't work out for me. It's like never worked out for me. So I'm just not going to do it anymore. But glad these sold. And yeah, I've learned my lesson. no retail arbitrage for this person unless it's books, because that is the only thing I have enough acumen in order to be successful at. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, this is what sold for me that week. I hope your sales are good, and I hopefully will see you next week for another What Sold video. Bye, friends. Bye.